In this video, I want to show you how origin point works in Create versus using WYSIWYG mode. And origin point mode is what I use for all of my cutting unless, and these are just the two situations, unless I'm using, for example, I'm engraving or using two tools, in which I'm trying to do a draw and cut or something like that where I need that alignment. Or if I'm doing a print and cut. Those are the only two situations where I use WYSIWYG. Otherwise, I use origin point all the time because it's such an efficient use of materials, especially scraps. So this is how it works. I have set up just a quick basically I've got kind of like, let's say this is my project. Let's say I've got some triangles, I've got some stars, I've got some circles, and I have them spread out here in the document area. And that's the nice thing about origin point. It doesn't matter where things are. You don't have to put them in any particular location in your project area. And this is why. So let's say I'm going to start with the green ones. And so I just here's my mat over here. And let's say I just put down a square of green vinyl or cardstock or whatever right here on the mat. And it doesn't matter where it goes. You can put it anywhere you want to. The key is that before you start cutting, you move the blade tip just inside this bottom right corner, just inside. You don't want to put it right at the tippity tip corner because then there's too big of a chance that you're going to inadvertently kind of cut a little bit off the material. So you put it just inside, just a little bit, like an eighth of an inch inside. And then let's say that I'm only going to send the green triangles to cut. So I'm going to turn off those other two, and I'm just going to send this. And later I'll talk about cut by color, how it works the same way with it. So when I go into the Create window, I make sure that I have origin point mode selected. And you'll notice if I had left this at WYSIWYG, it shows where it's going to cut in this window. Let me zoom out a little bit because here is your solo cutter right here. This is your material, and you can see that you'd be setting your origin here, but it's going to come all the way up here to cut out your shapes, and that's not practical. That's not efficient. So instead, when you use origin point mode, it doesn't care where these are. It's going to move them down to cut right here in the corner. So I would go ahead and click on Create to cut, but let me show you something. So here is my material, and because I set my origin just inside here, then this is where the shapes get cut out. They get cut out right here, and you'll notice that when I select my shapes over here, this corner, this bottom right-hand corner, this represents basically the origin, all right? So remember when I set it just inside that little bit of corner, and so that's exactly where that little point is on the, where the triangle started cutting, was right where the blade tip was located. All right, so then similarly, let me come up here and then let's turn on the blue. So for the blue shapes, and then we turn on the blue stars, it's the same thing. When I send it to, to the cut window, it shows that because I'm in origin point mode, those stars have been moved down to the bottom right hand corner of this simulation of your material. All right, and then when it cuts, these are where the 4 stars cut out, because again, when you select these, this is the bounding box around those stars, right along the bottom, along the right. This represents where the blade tip is, and again, you've set your origin just inside that corner. Okay, and then the same thing for the red. Here's the red material. I'm going to turn on the red shapes. Okay, I'm going to set the blade just inside this corner, and again, material wherever I want it on the mat. And then when I send it to cut, all right, that's where you see it in the window. You can confirm, yep, origin point mode, it's moved them down to that corner. All right, and then that's where they cut, because when I select this shape, these two shapes, this is where that corner is located right here, which represents where you put the blade tip just inside that corner of the material. And all of this works the same way if you go to, if I had sent all of this and I was using cut by color, I would have gone ahead and placed one of my materials on there. I chose the red one. Then up here in cut by color, yep, my red one's on top. It's going to cut first. When I go ahead and click on Create here, you'll see, because I was in origin point mode, it shows you just like it did it, when I was using the regular mode, is that it has moved those red shapes down to cut at that corner. All right, and so then again, just like before, this is where it's going to cut the shapes. And then the same thing happens with the blue and with the green. You're just, when the machine finishes the red, you pull out that red, the red material's done, you put in the blue material, for example, get it set, move the blade tip to the corner of that material, just inside, and then the shapes, when you send it to cut are going to cut in that corner. And then similarly for the green. Okay, again, the green can go anywhere I want to on the material. Just make sure that blade tip is just inside the green and send it to cut, and then it's going to cut those shapes right down there in that same location. So I hope this helps, and give it a try. I always encourage people, use the test pen. Just play with it on a sheet of paper and see if it doesn't work the way I'm describing here before you actually, go to use the material. And again, the most important thing you have to remember about origin point mode is that you have it turned on, and then also that you don't forget to move your blade tip just inside the tip of the material. If you have any questions, please let me know.